Hello, and welcome to this brief interlude for Jane's Fighters Anthology. Today we will be going over the supplementary materials in the manual for the Egyptian campaign, which we will start very shortly. So, to begin without any further ado, Campaign History Egypt, Jane's Intelligence Review, Pointer, 1st of December 1994, Volume 0, Issue 14, page 3. Egypt's hardline policy pays off, abridged. Egypt's political stability has been of concern both in the country and among outside observers, but threat perceptions differ. Western observers are sensitive to signs of Islamist activism and violence, but Cairo sees its dire economic situation as a more fundamental problem. Outside observers have paid most attention to the violent campaign by Islamist insurgents led by the Jama'at al-Islamiyah. It represents the culmination of an upsurge in political Islamism, which has been evident since the 1970s, but the current generation of militants tend to be younger, poorer, and less intellectual than their predecessors. In comparison to some of the violent Islamist groups that emerged earlier, movements such as Jama'at al-Islamiyah have an underdeveloped ideology and are more proficient at terrorist operations than at debating Islamic theology. However many people it arrests, the government cannot disguise the fundamental problems it faces in the economy or in restructuring itself. It is these issues which underlie the growth of Islamist militancy. Unemployment has soared to about 14%, especially among the young. Over 75% of the unemployed are school or university leaders. This pool has been the radicals' main recruiting ground. Egypt has been engaged in a reform program mandated by the IMF since the 1990-1991 Gulf War, but so far this has brought only hardship. The IMF and World Bank praised the 75% reduction in food subsidies and the fall in the budget deficit to 2.4% of GNP, but still the predicted growth rate of 3 to 4% is less than the 5% needed merely to employ new entrants to the labor market. The government recognizes the need to cushion the populace against the short-term pain these reforms entail, but has shown itself unable to do so. The bloated and corrupt state bureaucracy fails to provide an effective social security network, enabling the Islamists, with their network of mosques and social services, to fill the gap. Elements within the establishment have resisted the threat to their vested interests posed by the reforms. The military is resistant to cutting back its vast economic empire and allowing the private sector to spur growth. Jane's Defense Weekly, Flashpoints, Egypt, 4th of February, 1995, Volume 23, Issue 5, page 12. Fighting flared again in Minya province, south of Cairo last week, as Egypt's civil war against Islamic revisionists enters its fourth year. Accurate figures are not available for the death toll, but the Egyptian police say that 600 officers have been killed since 1992. 11th of February, 1995, Volume 23, Issue 6, page 22. Fighting in the Nile Valley, 300 kilometers south of Cairo, has increased as Islamic groups and security forces intensify their activities. Amid the civil unrest, there are increasing accusations of police and army violence against innocent civilians in their hunt for the armed rebels. Frontline, the Middle East, 28th of April, 1998, Volume 25, Issue 20, page 10. Egypt slow to handle rebel takeover. The decades-old battle between the Egyptian government and political Islamists has erupted in a surprise takeover of government facilities in and around Cairo. Precise accounts of which facilities have been affected are unavailable, but reports confirm that at least 3 air bases at Cairo, Al Sharif, and Bur Said have fallen under rebel control. Several Islamist groups claim joint responsibility for the takeover, and there is some suspicion that arms, monetary, and advisory aid from Libya, Syria, and possibly Iran, governments long opposed to westernization in the area, may lie behind the sudden unification and mobilization of once disparate groups. The Egyptian government is still reeling from the attack and has given no indication of organized plans for reprisal. The Egyptian police forces, normally assigned to the suppression of Islamic civil unrest, continue to fight sporadically, joined by the Egyptian military whenever military installations are threatened. A long history of civilian casualties and raids has left the police unpopular in the Cairo region. Local residents appear to support the rebels and refuse to cooperate with authorities. Several countries, including the US, France, and Israel, have denounced the takeover and offered Egypt support, and it is expected that the EU will follow. Egypt has the second largest arsenal of aircraft, tanks, and weapons in the region, behind Israel, and the possibility that it could fall into the hands of Islamist groups threatens the tenuous stability of power in the entire region. And that is our supplemental campaign materials for this campaign. So, once again, thank you all for watching and stay tuned for next time as we start the Egyptian campaign proper.